Yes, we have. Yes, we have. That's right. I know this name. But I also looked at your name and I know her. And believe it or not, it's the name.
Hi, how are you? Good, welcome. If you want to have a seat, I think they're trying to do the inside first.
Yeah, don't you hate it when they start off bullying you into coming? Put you in the front group thing, because I think we're going to be a real small group. Oh, yeah. You're kidding.
I thought 2 of your classes were pretty small today and 2 were a little bigger. This is maybe one of your bigger ones. Hi, how are you? Good morning.
To you. Or semicircle.
And I wonder then if she's going to need, if Stasia needs to
Well, it
register.
might be. You know what? If you are more comfortable on the outside, it does look like whichever place you want to sit, you sit wherever you're comfy.
Hi, welcome. Please help
Over
me.
here on the inside still. I was not expecting this. We got plenty of room on the inside. Don't you do that to me. On the inside. Oh, it's you sit where you belong. I'm going to see you now. Awesome. So you've got your stuff. Just move these right over here. You are very welcome. Good to see you. Oh, look, you've already got your stuff.
Thank you so much.
I love it. Anyone wants to sit inside, we've still got inside seats if you want to. You are welcome very much. Come in, come in. Thank you. Please get your cell phones out and have them up and handy. Yes, I actually said that in the continuing education class. Please get your cell phones out, have them up and handy. Who have I not given this to you? I didn't give you one. It was very bad. It's Marvella? Marvella, I thought so. Good to see you. Thank you. Good to see you. We met this morning.
We did? That's already.
That's right, because I love that dress. How are you?
I'm good, how are you?
Always good. What I don't know, I'm not too worried about it. Yeah, if you would get your cell phones and put them out where you can access them quickly. Yes, I'm saying, yes, on, yeah, don't put them away. I know, you're accustomed to being told, put your cell phones away, and here I'm saying, bring your cell phones out. Bring your cell phones out, need to have your cell phones. Because we can't do this without you having cell phones.
Having a small group.
I thought I was, maybe that's what. I thought we were gonna be 8 people in here, so you're right, and here I made you come to the middle, and it wasn't necessary. How are you?
How you doing, honey?
I'm always good.
Been a long time.
Well, I get to come once a year, practically.
Is there a test?
Yes, a bunch of them.
Oh, no.
But my tests are anonymous. So you already passed it. Because there's nothing better than an anonymous test. You are welcome.
But in theory, we anonymously failed.
No, you anonymously pass. We don't ever anonymously fail. Are you fussing at him? Fussing at him? I like the color of your jacket.
Oh, that's it, suck up.
All right, does everyone have a handout? I think we can get started. My name is Joe Malloy. I am an associate broker in the state of Virginia. I've been licensed since 1972. Oh my gosh, that means I'm very old, is what that means. Other than that, I don't think you came because I would be speaking today. How many of you came more because there's continuing education credit? Yes. Oh, I know. You came because it was me. I appreciate it. It's Stephanie, I could count on you to say that. So this is to professionalism is? Well, it was created by,
The guideline.
that's all it is.
Yeah.
It's a guideline created by the National Association of Realtors. But it is really just a guideline. So the National Association of Realtors did develop a code of ethics, and that's a living document, but they also created pathways to professionalism. So what's the difference between these two, the code of ethics and the pathways to professionalism? If you violate the code of ethics, what's going to happen, or what could happen, if you were accused of violating the code of ethics, the National Association of Realtors Code of Ethics? What happens with that? You go to realtor jail. I love it. You go, and you did say that with all capital letters, realtor jail, because it's enforced against realtors, right? Those of us who are members of the association, through our Association of Realtors. So the local Association of Realtors, it goes to the grievance committee and they decide whether or not it looks like there is a prima facie case. And if they feel that there is, then, and only then, they will pass that to professional standards, and that's like going to the court hearing. So it's enforced by your national or by your local Association of Realtors, correct? So pathways to professionalism is a little different, and everyone should have a copy by now. But pathways to professionalism also developed by the National Association of Realtors. Who is that enforced against? Is it only realtors? Is it all licensees? Is it nobody? Or is it all business people that are in real estate related professions? Who is it enforced against?
All licensees.
I like that, all licensees. It's such a good answer because it sounds so wonderful. It's wrong, but I do like it. It is wrong because pathways to professionalism is voluntary. It's developed by the National Association of Realtors, but it's about courtesy and etiquette and showing respect. And it's not enforced by anyone against anyone. It's not enforced against anyone because it's entirely voluntary. And if everyone has a copy of this, we're going to give you a chance to use this. Now, I did mention that I'd like you to get your cell phones out. No, do not put them away. Everybody get your cell. I know you're accustomed to putting them away. That's it. You heard me, Angela. Get your cell phone. I need that out in front of you. Don't put it away. You're going to need that in a minute. Does everyone know how to text in this room? I'm going to give you a number to which you're going to send a text. Here's what I want you to do. Oh, by the way, I got ahead of myself here, though. So, if it's not enforced against anyone, what is the benefit of adhering to the guidelines? Thank you.
Be a better business person.
Thank you. To be a better business person. And does anyone want to expand on that a little? How does it make you better? Anyone?
Professional.
More courteous, more professional.
Moral compass.
It gives you a moral compass. I like all of these things. Is it easier to work in our business with the other professionals with whom we work if we're seen as someone who has a moral compass? If we're seen as someone who is courteous? What does a lack of respect and a lack of courtesy for others reap? Disdain, frustration. It really, you don't get anything for being discourteous. By the way, does anyone know an agent? Please don't give me any names. Who thinks that you get something? Do you know of an agent who somehow thinks that you get something from being discourteous, rude, or otherwise disrespectful?
Yes.
Isn't that interesting? That we do know someone, and here's what I'll bet. I'll bet the people who don't feel that way, the people who think that respect is the way to go, that it does make you a better professional, that it does give you a better business. Those people are already in the room. The people who need this course would never take a course in title. I'm sorry, they just wouldn't take it. So, this is just like the code of ethics, it addresses 3 different areas where we show respect. It talks about the respect that we show for the public in general. It talks about the respect that we show for the property. We're in other people's properties all the time, and it addresses the respect that we show for our peers. That's what it addresses. And in just a minute, since you all have a copy, I'm going to ask you to take a look at it, but here's the eye I want you to use when you take a look at it. There are a list of 21 things that you can do to show respect for the public here. And by the way, it's not an exhaustive list. There are going to be things on this that are not on this list that we should probably do to show respect. But there are 21 things, and underneath each of those 21 little guidelines, I put something in pink, because I shortened the phrase for you, and I shortened the phrase because I want you to use that shortened phrase in a text. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to take a couple of minutes and I want you to look at all 21 of these guidelines, and I want you to decide. I want you to decide which one is the most important in that list of 21 from your perspective. And when you decide which one is the most important from your perspective, I want you to send a text. And here's why I want you to send the text. And you might as well go ahead and set your text up right now. Here's what I want you to pull out your phone. And the number that you're going to text to is 22333. 333. Just put that right in the phone number you're going to text to. I know it's not 7 numbers. Don't worry about it. 22333.
Is that on the party line?
Yes, that is a party line. And by the way, I'm glad you said that because it is a party line of sorts. It really is a party line of sorts in as much as when you first go in there, what I need for you to do is send in a text message to get through to our class. Susan Malloy, 662. All one word. I want you to text that. So you put in 22333. Now in the message, put Susan Malloy, 662. Because if you don't, you'll be on the party line. I don't know whose class you're going to be in. Get tickled to death. Oftentimes I'll be using this and they'll end up in a classroom of someone who I know who is really a great instructor from Missouri, but I wonder what he thinks when he gets their answers. Okay. Oh, look, we're already getting them in. Oh, I'm sorry. No, we aren't. Don't text them. Have you started texting?
Yes.
Oh, good. I'm going to need you to go ahead and send me another text on this because I forgot to clear this out from the last class.
On the same line, Susan? Susan Malloy, 662, and then?
Yep, same one. Just go back into her.
So we're texting.
Susan Malloy, 662. And what you look at, Encore, is in the red, you have the short version. So look at the list and see which one you think is just the worst one that people could do. What is the worst of all?
Well, best or worst?
You want the one that is the most important to adhere to, okay?
Okay.
So it's the worst offense.
Okay, so we're going to take, so
Am
we're,
I writing a response after this?
So yeah, hit the, send that message, Susan Malloy, 662. Now you're set up to send a response.
so in the 2 line, it's 22333. And then in the message line, Susan Malloy, 662.
Send that message.
Yeah, and then the next one.
Now send the answer. Everyone good with that?
So we're sending 2 texts.
In the 2 line,
First.
Angela, let me. Yours types, look at that, you can type all kinds of languages.
Put 223.
And then you send her name, Susan Malloy.
Are you gonna type in German
You
to me?
send
No, but I
one
sometimes
you feel is most
Yeah.
offensive.
That's the world.
You find it outside like your
See if we can do
And
this.
normally there's an error.
Alright, we're just gonna go right back on in.
So the one that you think that is most important
what?
Hers is misbehaving.
Sure, absolutely.
I'll come right back around front so that you won't lose sight of me, because I realize I'm performing. I'm driving her crazy. She's got a camera, she's trying to film me, and I'm asking her now, get up while I'm moving around. So, I see really big, follow the golden rule. So far, I see that coming in really big. Do unto others, well, does that summarize the whole thing? Does that sum- And yet, I'd like to just ask you a question. Should we really do unto others as we would have them do unto us? Because we had a real debate with a small group in here before, and it was about what's worse? Is it worse to not take phone calls ever, just not accept phone calls, or is it worse to be slow in responding to emails? Which is worse? Well, isn't that dependent upon with whom you're talking? And so, how do you want to treat people? The way you want to be treated, or the way they want to be treated? Yeah, I've often heard that if the golden rule is to do unto others as you would have them do unto you, the platinum rule, the platinum rule, Stephanie, Jan, the platinum rule is to do unto others as they would have you do to them. And so, if they need to talk on the phone, they need to talk on the phone. If you drive them crazy by not responding to text messages, then you know what? Even if you hate texting, you'll learn how to text with them. Because if we're showing respect for others and what's important to them, that might be part of it. But I like the golden rule because it's there. So let's see. What are some of the others that we have here? Foster and Frank. We've got...
My name and Long and Foster go with any text, so that's how that.
There you go. I love it. That is perfect. Frank, that is perfect. That is absolutely perfect. So we've got communicate up there with, prompt. The prompt response is pretty big up there. It's even bigger than communicate. So let's look at that. That's responding promptly to inquiries and requests for information. You know, there was a discussion in the morning meeting about what happens if people inquire about a property you have advertised. If they inquire about a property you have advertised and they don't get a prompt response, what happens? They're on to the next. They're on to the next. And they might not even take it so personally as we're thinking they would. They already know us, they'll take it pretty personally. But we never hear from them again because they're on to the next. What happens with you when you make contact with an agent and you're trying to find out information from them about a property they have listed and they don't get back with you? How does that feel? It's really frustrating. And we know that. We know that. And yet, are there some agents who really make a habit of it?
Yeah.
Too busy for you. Too busy for, I have important things going on, I'm sorry. Too busy for you. We're looking here at communicate as being one of them. And so what is communicate? It's number 6. What's timely? If you're talking about a client, timely is what they want, but it's also soon enough to keep people from feeling frustrated. That's what timely is. Timely is soon enough to keep people from being frustrated. And we have to have a sense of what that is. What's this about cancel? What's that about? Who picked that and what is that about? Failure to do what?
Cancel and cancel.
Thank you, Concord. Who's had a seller, a client who had appointments scheduled to show their house and they didn't show up and then they called you and they were upset? And think about what that causes. It's just a call or a text. It's a quick message to let someone know you're not going to make it. And I know we're all busy, but that's all that we're asking for. What else were our pet peeves here? Communicate, prompt respond, I think we hit most of them there. Anyone on here that we haven't hit that anyone wants to talk about?
Actually, I sent 13 and asked permission.
Thank you, 13. Oh, thank you. Marvella, can we talk about that for a minute? Well, everyone look at 13. If they're home, ask permission before you, it's not a gas station. Right? But what if they're not home and your client or you need the restroom? Then what?
Make sure there's toilet paper.
Oh, wow, I love it.
Always.
I'm so glad you said that, Janet. Janet said, make sure there's water, so make sure there's paper, make sure the water's on, because I didn't once. Yes, I swear to gosh, that was me. You never know it was me, because I went to a neighbor and I got a bucket of water and I took care of that problem. But it is about, if it's a vacant house, you need to be careful about what you do. You need to be really careful about what you do. Thank you so much. Do you have folks who do that to your client? What happens with your clients, Marvella?
Well, I had one that the house was vacant, and they went in and I panicked, because I thought, oh my God, did they check to see if the water's on? So I'm running in the kitchen, turning the faucets on to make sure. But I've had them, use the restroom, and I'm thinking, I'm just appalled.
By the way, thank you so much, because these are rules for us. These are guidelines for us. But what do you do? Because Marvella, that's a toughie. It's your clients, and they're going in to look at it. And they're about, now what do you do?
I apologize.
The first thing you did was apologize to the listing agent. But how do you control your client? Are we responsible for people we take into that property?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Somewhere on here it says that too. Yeah. And so what could you do to try to make sure that your clients behave when you're showing?
Communicate.
If you think of it, you could address it before you go in there.
Get a cattle prod.
Did everyone hear Soren? His suggestion was we get a cattle prod. I think that's a great suggestion, yes. You could do that. That's for conditioning people's behavior. The fact is, what sometimes the only thing you can do is take care of it after the fact. Make sure that everything is back as it was before you came into the property. Because honestly, if you've ever shown property and there's a very small person who's just learning that thing along, they're not waiting.
No.
They're not waiting, and they're not listening to whether or not the water is on. And now it's up to us to make sure it's in the same condition that we showed it in. So, and that brings us to respect for property. When we think about, showing the property, that brings us to the respect for the property part of this. When we look at the respect for the property part, and one of the issues that it addresses in respect for property is we take responsibility for everyone that we allow in there. If you're the listing agent and you're holding an open house, see, if you're the showing agent and you have one person, one group that you're showing it to, that I think may be an easier task. What if you're the listing agent and a property that's in a pretty popular location? What can you do that helps you to take responsibility for the people you let come into that house?
Put a sign.
What is to put a sign? What's a sign say? Help
Do
me.
not use.
Okay,
do not use the
one
toilet.
might be about the restroom. Please ask permission, or check it out with your clients before they leave the house. So that's with respect to the restroom. You're responsible for the other activities of people who walk into this house. What are you concerned might happen in your client's house?
Somebody steals something.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Frank. Frank said he's concerned, something. So how do you address that when you're at an open house? Because those prospects don't come in one at a time.
I tell my clients, I have jewelry and stuff. take it with them if they, don't
Yeah.
leave stuff out and about.
Thank you. Frank said, tell your clients. Tell your clients. Don't leave stuff out and about. Having that discussion. The truth is, even when it's not an open house, even when the property's just being shown, where should small, valuable, pick-upable items be?
Removed.
Removed. Under lock and key. Where should prescription drugs be?
Removed.
Not in the medicine cabinet. That much not in the medicine cabinet. It's having that discussion with your client. Frank, you're absolutely right. That discussion. So taking responsibility for all who enter is not just when you're showing the property, it's when you're a listing agent and you're holding it open. One of the things that they mentioned at the last class that I thought was really a good idea, and I know that you can get fooled sometimes, but is having some sort of sign-in. Having people identify who they say they are when they come to an open house. I understand they could all sign Mickey Mouse. I understand that. But better to act than to just let everyone run through. And honestly, if they sign Mickey Mouse, are you pretty sure that's the one you should keep an eye on? So it is that. Keeping members of the group together if you do show the property. How easy is that, by the way? Elaine, can you address that for a minute? What do you do to try to keep them together?
I guess maybe state at the beginning, can we all go through the house in a group together? Because if they have multiple children or something, they're all over the house.
Managing the expectations is talking to them about it ahead of time, especially if there are children. Especially if there are children.
But I see in a lot of cases, the husband goes to what's important to him, to that room, and the wife goes to what room is important to her.
Absolutely. So Marvella, what can we do about that? Or anyone can pitch in and help Marvella, because she is saying something that is true. Sometimes they walk in the door and they take off in different directions.
If it's occupied, I don't do that. We have to stay together for respect of someone's house. They could be military, could be personal things. There's no video, picture taking. So, but if it's not, I will allow them to explore, and depending on body language, I would follow one or the other.
So what you're saying is if it's a vacant house and nobody lives there, and you're not so worried about them all getting away from one another and doing something untoward in the house?
I'll let them explore. Now, once they leave, I circle back, make sure windows, doors, that sort of thing are still locked. But,
I want to pause for just, it's Roz, right?
yes.
Roz, I want to pause for just a minute. Did you hear what Roz just addressed though? Going back and making sure, if people got away from her during a showing, she wants to make sure they didn't leave the doors open. What's that about, Roz?
Well, it's respecting the property. Security.
But
Yes.
agents do that too all the time, they leave the back door open.
Yeah.
Yes. I have to check on each listing of mine every time there's a showing, because every time, guaranteed, they've left the back door open. Is we gonna have it now? If we have a showing, okay, I gotta go after them.
Encore, you know what? That is really living up to what this Pathways to Professionalism is about. It's understanding that although the other agent, sometimes we should on people, right? They should do it. They showed it, they should do it. They should, and you're not doing that. You're saying, it's my listing, I'm taking responsibility, I will go back and check. I found that altogether too often the back door gets left open. And you see, at an open house, it could get left open on purpose by someone who comes through.
They didn't, the last time, they didn't even bother to shut it. It was wide open.
Well, that's so that we can let the pets out, or in, as the case might be. Now, that's the kind of respect for the property that we're talking about is, and yes, I understand, we wish they would take this class, we wish they would understand the importance of locking up the house. What you've done, Encore, is you've gone the extra mile and you say, I will make sure that place is locked up after showings, because I've discovered that it doesn't happen. So keeping the members of the group together, taking responsibility for those. Respect for the property is leaving it the way you found it. Anyone have a client who's gotten upset about lighting after their property's been shown? Just the lights being left on in a different way. Well, you know, it's their property, and they'd like to know that it's the same way when they come back. If there's music on, you leave the music on. You don't change the property around. And that's being careful to see what doors are open and what doors are shut. What goes into that? Respect for the, oh, don't you love the pets? Who's ever had it happen? All right. 2 questions. Who's ever had a pet escape? None of you have had a pet escape. Oh, that's wonderful. We did have someone who said he got bitten by a pig in the house, but we didn't have it. He really did, I promise he did. Oh, it's really interesting. So, but pet escapes do happen. I've had a pet escape before. But it's also important for the listing agent to take some responsibility for the pet.
Put them in some place, announce it ahead of time, just be cautious, be careful, and take care.
Did everyone hear that? Because you've got such a wonderful soft voice. Edith. Either put them someplace, you know, crate them, let them go out with the owner for a walk, let them go live with grandma, I don't know, while the property's on the market, or at least tell people, if a pet's gonna be loose in the house, tell people. What's the risk of a loose pet in the house?
Somebody gets bit.
Actually, there's a legal risk that someone could get bitten. That could happen. And what else did I hear?
Allergy.
People who are allergic need to know. People who are highly allergic need to know.
People with a fear. I showed a rental property a couple of weeks ago, and the tenant was there. They chose not to leave. Okay, so we go in the house and up the steps, and the woman goes up the steps. Her husband is next. So I'm still talking to the tenant, and she screams.
Your client.
Yes, my client, she screams, and he's moved, she pushes him out the way, and she's running down the steps. And I'm thinking, oh dear God, what's up there? They had a pet snake.
Oh.
And they didn't tell us.
Was this a caged or uncaged snake?
It was caged,
But it's still
but
scary.
she didn't care, she walked in that room, and when she walked in that room, she saw snake.
Yeah, so it is, as a listing agent, it's at least warning people. It's at least warning people, because Marvella, had you known there was a snake up there, you could have warned her.
Yeah.
But nobody warned you. After all, it was in a cage, safe snake. So,
No.
yeah, not, so, other respect for the property. Of course you don't smoke in someone's property. You also have to watch out for your clients. Your clients don't smoke in someone's property. What about vaping?
Big to do now.
Oh, wow. You know what? How would you feel if someone were vaping in your house and you had not given permission? I would say if we're talking golden rule, and I know I talked about the platinum rule as well, but when we're talking the golden rule, it really is a pretty easy call. No, we shouldn't vape in their house and we shouldn't permit it when we have people with us. Here's the one that's maybe toughest for me. No eating or drinking in their house, and I get that, I understand it. What do you do when they brought their very small children with them?
Ask them to please stay outside till they're done.
Can you keep the kid outside till they're done? Maybe you do have a preliminary discussion about, you know, I understand that sometimes we're gonna need to break for snacks, and I just wanna pre-warn you, we don't wanna take snacks into anyone's house. You can understand why. So maybe having that conversation ahead of time, Frank, is the way to do it. And then smiling nicely when we say, oh, maybe we better wait until Bubba's done. with his, because because, you know, it's not normally what we run into, it's those abnormal situations that we hit that are really throwing us off at times. Because I didn't think someone was gonna drag a sippy cup in, but it happens. And sippy cups, unbeknownst to some people, can have tops come off. And if they turn them upside down and shake them, did you know they can make them spill on the carpet? The other thing, anyone ever had a seller client complain because there was trash left in the trash can? No. Interesting. Suggestion on here is don't even leave your trash there. Don't put it in the trash can. Take it back out to your car. Don't leave your trash at their house. So that's the suggestion. Oh, don't anybody answer this yet? You can see where everyone else went. I should have set this up for you, but since I didn't, I will clear it out. Yeah. There we go. So, here we are. Here's the question.
Thank you so much.
I'll get that on for you. The question is, which of the following actions taken by an agent with whom you are negotiating is most likely to cause difficulty with the negotiating process? So, you're in the midst of negotiating a contract with another agent. Which of these actions is most likely to irritate you enough to interfere with the negotiation process? But you only get to pick one. Which is the worst, the most egregious of all of them?
D.
Go ahead and text it in, Frank, I believe you. I'll take your D. Isn't that interesting? So D's still ahead. They're all in there, it's the same text. Ah, there we go. Failure to quickly respond to a text. So far, the big one is not being willing to speak on the phone. We already talked about the fact we don't feel good when the other agent doesn't respond quickly to an email. But when you're trying to talk with someone, why is it you might want to talk with the other agent on the phone? Because I know we do a lot by email today.
Very
You can
urgent.
hear the inflection.
It's very urgent, Tom says.
The other categories can wait.
But when you've got something that's very urgent, you might need to pick them up on the telephone. And the fact that they won't even take your call could cause the negotiation to go south. And we know that, and yet, are there people who just feel like taking a phone call is not the way to handle it? Is there any other time when you feel like you've got to pick up the phone? You ever had an email start to go south?
What?
Things are being misunderstood in print. And you're emailing and you meant no harm, but you can tell from their response, they felt harm.
Actually, I think sometimes it's easy to misunderstand over the phone, because I remember a negotiating process, we finally settled on a price, and closing cost, and I distinctly told her, I think, $315 was the final sales price, she agreed over the phone, and it came back as $320. And since it was on the phone, there was no bracket, so from now on, I negotiate in print.
Thank you. Now, what Stephanie said is once they've had this discussion on the phone, the fact is, there is nothing till it's in writing. And even the agent's email to you saying, this looks good, is nothing. This is between the principals. If the agent writes you an email and says, my client says 320 is okay, or 350 is okay, that doesn't mean anything, because their client didn't send that email. So, the fact is, you do want, though, anything that you discuss on the telephone, you want to immediately
Follow up with you.
follow up. This morning when Sherry talked to us, she talked about a study that was done, and she mentioned it. It's actually a study that was done by Albert Moravian. He mentions it in his book Silent Messages, and it's one of my favorite studies to look at it. Because what he tested was, when people are able to talk face to face, what is it that really makes people like you the most, that causes them emotionally to connect with you? That's what that study is really about. Body language. Body language. 38% body language. Is that what it was? No, 57%, well, 50-something% body language. 7% was the actual word spoken, and 38% was voice tonality and sentence structure. That's what that study was about. Absent body language, people will put more reliance on the sentence structure and tone of voice and words. Absent body language. Absent body language and voice tonality, people have to look at the words. They have to look at the written words. But often, in order to make people like us and in order to create a good environment for negotiation, we need to use the voice, the tonality. We'd like to use the body language as well. Is that more and more difficult in our society? So we use what we've got. If they won't even take the call, it sometimes makes it difficult to work out the issues. But if you don't follow it up with the written, you don't know if there was a misunderstanding. Excellent. Anything else along those lines? So it does look like, overwhelmingly with this group, your real pet peeve doesn't mean you like any of these things, but your real biggest pet peeve is when the other agent won't even talk to you. What does that mean to us? Since we can't control the other agent, what does that mean to us?
You're hiding something?
It could mean they're hiding something. It could. It's interesting that that's the way we feel about it, that they might be hiding something. What behavior would you take knowing that this is the way we feel?
I would just point out though, only because this is like I'm the oldest person in the room by a long shot. My experience is that younger folks are far more comfortable with their thumbs than having to carry on a conversation. Me, on the other hand, I am far more comfortable with a conversation, body language notwithstanding. First of all, with my big thumbs, it takes me twice as long to correct the damn words I'm trying, spelling I'm trying to correct. So I mean, I try and take that into account as well.
And what's nice is that you're trying to take into account that they have a comfort level with pets. And at the same time, if they are here in this room too, the they who have an easier time with pets, then it would be nice for them to know that you can sometimes work things out better if you can hear their voice. The fact is, making allowances for the way that others communicate. What it means to me is I better get comfortable in all of those methods. Because my job is to make the other person feel comfortable. I need to establish a good bond between myself and the other agent if we're going to work out the hard issues.
And then the communication down the road, if you're not talking to me right now when I'm trying to negotiate the process, what is it then, home inspection or anything else along the line, and then you need to meet deadlines, so very important, communication at all times, from the beginning to the end, so.
You are so right, communication from the beginning to the end, and if it starts out making you feel like you're not going to communicate well, working towards an agreement is not as urgent for you. Maybe it should be, but it doesn't seem that way, because what you're really working towards is an agreement that's going to mean more problems. Excellent job.
Maybe you all could mitigate that by stating your preferred method of communication.
What a thing to do. Wouldn't that be nice? And if then someone won't talk to you on the phone, then you really know that there's an issue. But you're right. What we should be willing to do is talk to one another on a phone or through an email or a text about, you know, can we move this to the telephone? Can we move this to? Absolutely.
But lately, because I don't like texting, I have a bit of a problem with it. And they all tell me, especially the young generation, I don't answer my phone, I do not read my emails, I haven't read my emails in 2 weeks. So it doesn't leave you much choices. And even when I tell them, don't text me, call me, you know, whatever, they don't do it.
And, all right, I'm going to try to say it with a German accent, but I know I'm going to mess it up. Ahila Help me say it with a German accent. Angela.
Oh, you mean my name?
Yes.
Angelica.
Angelica.
Angelica. Angelica. Is that
Pretty good, but the G is good. G.
Angelica?
Yes.
There's my German. I'm not going to try it again. That's the best I can do in German. Angelica.
Yeah.
I said with my Philadelphia accent. But Angelica, you're exactly right. They have a preference. And unfortunately, they're not the ones in the class. So this is all about isn't that the rub? This is about what we can do to make things better. The truth is, you're trying to negotiate something with someone who doesn't negotiate in person. And that makes it very difficult. The point was made that we need to speak up and say what we need. If it's the client, the truth is, what they need is going to be more powerful than what we need.
But I put it on the listing already to call, and I never put the.
Yeah, and they don't behave. Those clients, they never have. You've been at this how many years at Long and Foster Along tomorrow? By the way, can we give, I'll try it one more time. Angelica, a big hand, 25 years tomorrow.
And I'm still doing that. But you know what? It's actually the other agents I have a problem with, not the clients.
And those are the ones that I really wish would take the class, would learn that taking a call, because it can really cause things to go south. All that you can do about it is get yourself as comfortable as you can with it and recognize that you're going to try not to let a negotiation go south because they won't talk to you. It's difficult though, because they're triggering something in you. It's difficult. Okay, there we go. Which of the following have you experienced?
Let's see.
Somebody tell me who answered this and what happened. We got to know about that. Yeah.
I did. When I first get to the Norfolk area, I had another agent who was notorious for doing that. And she would show up at an open house and talk to my clients that were there.
Did she come inside to do it? And actually, she's previewing the house
Sure.
and picking up the clients.
Right.
How do you feel about that, by the way?
I invited her to leave in a very, very straightforward way.
I mean, I know when I first got into the business, a very nice agent who worked only the District of Columbia by the name of Gertrude Deeds. Gertrude was very kind to me and was getting me started. But the one thing she told me to be wary of, she said, there are agents who will work the sidewalk outside of your open house. Now, I never had it happen, but apparently Gertrude had that happen several times where agents would actually work outside the open house. It's obviously something none of us would do, and I think you're right, that we have the right to say, I really need to ask you to leave. We have the right to do that. You don't need to be stepped on by people.
It's an ethical violation.
I was amazed that we even needed to list that in here. Because everything I've taken is in the sheet. It's in our professional etiquette. Well, let's see. Oh, okay, where's the honey, sweetie? How'd that make you feel? Sorry?
Yeah, some people don't know gender soaring via text, and so I got it. Girl, I get it.
Girl, I get it. You know, inappropriately. That's inappropriate. I'm sorry, saying girl, I get it to anybody in a text you don't know, saying that out loud to anyone you don't know well enough to address like that, that's kind of a slang thing. You don't do that. And you sure as heck don't call people honey or sweetie. And just for those of you who are a bit younger than I, oh, that's this whole room. Here's maybe so. Tom, you and I will compare notes. I'm the only one who might have me, but I don't think so. Here's the thing: when you call an older woman sweetie, generally what she feels is diminished, not loved, unless you're her daughter. When you call her sweetie, she feels diminished. Now, you shouldn't use words that make people feel diminished. You just don't do that. If you know someone well enough, yeah, call them sweetie, call them honey, call them whatever you want that both of you agree on. But when you don't know someone well, yeah, so
You got that?
That's such a diminishing feeling.
I wanna talk to Mr. Colon, and I keep saying, this is
Um,
hard, and he keeps saying, no.
Oh, tell me about this. Tell me about the pet. Who's got the pet issue?
It was me.
So what happened, Marvella?
They.
That was the snake one or?
Yes, that was the snake one.
Yeah.
I have one. I usually get to properties prior to my, especially if they're vacant, prior to my client. And I get to this property and I do my walkthrough and it's empty except for a bedroom closet that has a rifle in it.
Oh, my.
So I called the agent right away, because I'm in the house alone and it made me very uncomfortable. So when showing the house, I just didn't allow them to open that closet door.
Wow. Yeah. Where should firearms be when houses are on the market?
They should be,
Thank you.
it's outside of its case, just.
Yeah. Not where people can pick it up and point it at me for
Yes,
fun.
no.
Not there.
Oh, man.
But the house was vacant.
The house was vacant.
What?
Except for
creepy.
that.
Run back in and get that one.
Yeah. Oh, that's
But
scary.
the listing agent come on, and I'm from New York, I don't scare too easy. But being alone in this house with this rifle was,
Yeah, that would be scary to me. I love it. Yeah, honestly. Oh, I gotta get rid of it again. Just asking you a quick text question, and I apologize for not having cleared these out before. Make sure we're active. Okay, so the question is, in your opinion, which of the four below is the most offensive? Of these four, which is the most offensive? Failing to put the key back or returning the key to the agent? Attending another agent's open house to prospect for buyers? Allowing the pet to escape when they didn't tell you that there was a pet? Or using the bathroom in the property while the owner is home without getting permission first? Interesting, I think we're getting this, whoa, there's a tie. There's a three-way tie going.
That's interesting.
Okay, this is stacking up like the last class. The number one in offensiveness is not putting the key back. Why is that we feel that way in our business?
Such an inconvenience.
Because no one else can show it, because we really are very concerned about our clients.
And then you are in front of the property and you want to show it, and the people, the family is there and there's no key, so now you're like,
Yeah.
It's a security thing too.
Right.
How do you know that some scumbag just didn't go make another copy of the key?
Yeah,
And
but when we-
unfortunately, there's one or two scumbags.
Don't sugarcoat it, Frank, how do you really feel?
Don't get me
So-
started.
Yeah, this is really, it is, so that's our number one. At the same time, we're not real happy about people who come to our open house to prospect or any other agent's open house to prospect. And it's just plain rude to use anyone's bathroom, I don't care whether they're a client or not, without asking permission. It's their house. Just plain rude. Excellent job. Just a quick question, but we've already answered it. Who's had the agent working the sidewalk outside or coming on inside to work the open house? Who's had the pet escape? None of you. But let's just remember that both agents have a responsibility for this. The listing agent should warn you, the showing agent should be careful. And if you do have to go find the animal that did get out, please make sure it's the right animal. I would like to keep you forever and ever, because I've had a real good time with you. But I think we're out of time, and I think that you need to pick up your certificate and put your name in, so it's in it already. And if you want that,
Names are already
make
in
sure
that.
that your name is spelled correctly on the sign in. Thanks for being here.
Sorry.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Sandy.
I am always glad to see you.
Sandy.
It's always fun.
Sandy Barrows?
Sandy.
And it's spelled, it is spelled correct, but I was reading it wrong.
This time I'll clear it out so the next class won't think I'm doing it.
We need to bring down that art area and actually teach class in my office.
Stephanie?
When?
As soon as you can, come on.
I don't know I love it. You know I love it.
Thomas. Lakeisha? Sharon? Darlene?
I think he's old. Oh, no, you're probably a little bit, he's not much. I think that's old.
Frank's in the back.
Mine doesn't either, but my daughter was.
Being
No?
timid and shy like he is.
Yes.
I said Frank's in the back, being timid and shy like he is.
That's a damn wood thing.
That's right.
Thank you
So
so
I'm
much.
used to Frank's form of shy.
Separate.
And Stephen?
You do the idea with the texting, I don't know.
I'm gonna go get my other one. I'll be back.
You said Stephen, right?
Yes, I did. You're welcome. Elaine?
Right here.
There you are. Thank you. Morella? Evelyn?
Yes,
Thank you.
I still wasn't able to text.
You're welcome. And
I'm
Nicoletta?
so sorry.
Thank you.
So many-
You're welcome. Thank you.
Again.
Are you Nicoletta?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a great rest of the day.
I'm so sorry.
I can answer this. If someone texts me, I just press a button and answer the text.
That's where my husband is.
No, that's where I'm
I'm
too
Haley.
old for that. And I'm the oldest one in here anyhow. I don't think.
Thanks, you too.
I think I
Thank
can-
you.
Thank you. Have a good rest of the day. Thank you.
1940. Okay, you got me. You got me. I didn't think you did.
That's why I'm 25 years still here. But I'm here. It's okay, but guess what?
You got me.
You got me.